All right, so today we are going to be diving deep into something that's really the bedrock of clinical research,
Okay.
and that is baseline data.
Yeah.
It might sound kind of basic, like, oh, baseline data, like what is that?
Right.
But trust me, it's way more fascinating than you might think.
Absolutely.
And especially if you're thinking about becoming a CRA,
hmm
understanding baseline data is crucial.
It really is. It's kind of like setting the stage for the entire clinical trial.
Okay.
It's all about capturing a participant's health status before they even start any treatment.
Okay.
So think of it as like a snapshot in time.
Oh, I like that.
It's a reference point
Yeah. Okay.
that lets us see if the treatment is actually doing anything.
So it's not just about seeing if someone gets better, but if those improvements are, like, directly because of the treatment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Like imagine we're testing a new drug for high blood pressure.
Yeah.
If someone's blood pressure drops during the trial, we need to know if it's because of the drug or something else,
Right.
like maybe lifestyle changes they've made.
Gotcha.
So baseline data helps us rule out those other factors.
So I'm kind of curious about what actually goes into this, like, baseline picture.
Yeah. It can be a whole range of things.
Oh, yeah.
It really depends on the study, but we're talking medical history, physical exams, lab results,
Okay.
like blood tests, even questionnaires
Oh, wow.
about their lifestyle, their symptoms, or even, how they feel overall.
So it's not just about numbers and, like, measurements then. It's also about capturing the participants' experience and their own, like, personal perspective.
Right.
That makes sense, especially if you're looking at treatments for chronic conditions where quality of life is so important.
Absolutely, yeah. And all of this data is gathered during what we call the screening phase,
Okay.
which is before the participant even starts the treatment. So it's like making sure that everyone is at the same starting line before the race begins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm starting to see now why this is so important for someone who wants to be a CRA.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically responsible for making sure this before picture is accurate and complete.
Precisely. Yeah. As a CRA, you'll be on the front lines, collecting this data, entering it into the systems,
Right.
making sure it's accurate. And trust me, it's not just about ticking boxes here.
Yeah.
You're the guardian of the data. You're the one who helps guarantee the integrity of the entire trial.
It's like being a detective, like making sure all the pieces of the puzzle are there before you can even start putting it together.
Exactly. Yeah.
And those pieces, that baseline data, it ultimately helps us understand if a treatment is truly safe and effective.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established that, like, getting this baseline right is really crucial.
Absolutely.
But I imagine there are challenges in collecting all of this information accurately.
Oh.
Especially when you're dealing with, real people, real life situations.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of those challenges?
Well, one of the biggest ones is definitely dealing with missing or incomplete data.
Okay.
Sometimes participants, they might forget to fill out a section of a questionnaire,
Right.
or maybe a blood sample gets mishandled.
Yeah.
It might seem like a small thing, but it can have a big impact on the results.
So how do researchers and CRAs try to overcome those challenges?
Well, being organized is definitely important,
Right.
but it's more than that. We rely on what are called standardized procedures
Okay.
to ensure consistency. It's like using the same ruler to measure everyone's height.
Gotcha.
This helps minimize errors and make sure that we're comparing apples to apples.
That makes sense. It's about creating a level playing field
Exactly.
and making sure that data is as reliable as possible.
Right.
But with so much information coming in, like, how do you even keep track of it all?
Yeah. Well, that's where robust data management systems come in.
Okay.
They act like a central hub for all the data that's collected during the trial.
Okay.
And these systems, they can help identify missing information, they can flag potential errors, and they generally just make sure that the data is top-notch.
Okay.
As a CRA, you'll be working really closely with these systems,
Okay.
ensuring that the information that's entered is accurate and complete.
So it sounds like a CRA plays a really vital role in maintaining the integrity of that that before picture,
Absolutely.
which then sets the stage for analyzing the impact of the treatment.
Exactly. And that brings us to what happens after we collect all this baseline data.
Okay.
It doesn't just sit there. It gets analyzed.
Yeah.
And it gets compared with the data that's collected after the treatment.
Right.
This comparison helps us see if there are any real changes
Okay.
and whether those changes are likely due to the treatment itself.
So it's like putting the before picture next to the after picture.
Exactly.
And then looking for real, meaningful differences.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
that's where a solid understanding of baseline data is so crucial for a future CRA.
Yeah.
You need to be able to spot any potential issues with the data,
Right.
understand how it fits into the big picture, and use it to help determine if the treatment is truly effective.
Okay. This has been really insightful. I think we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from what baseline data even is to how it's collected and why it's so crucial for evaluating treatments.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to, the listener.
Yeah.
Why should someone who wants to be a CRA care so much about this?
Think of it this way. As a CRA, you're the guardian of data integrity. You are responsible for ensuring that the before picture is crystal clear,
Okay.
so researchers can accurately compare it with the after picture. Your attention to detail, especially when it comes to baseline data, is what ultimately helps determine if a new treatment is safe and effective for patients.
So a CRA's, understanding of baseline data, it's not just about ticking boxes and following procedures. It's about making sure that the foundation of the entire research process is solid
Absolutely.
and ultimately, contributing to advancements that could improve people's lives.
Exactly. And that responsibility, it extends beyond just the data itself, It's about understanding the people behind the data
Oh, wow. Okay.
and making sure that their information is handled with the utmost care and respect.
Yeah, that's such an important point. We've been so focused on all the practicalities, but there's this whole ethical dimension to consider as well.
Absolutely.
This is fascinating stuff. I think we need to pick up right here in part 2 to explore that further. Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in the technical aspects of data collection and analysis,
Yeah.
but we can't forget that behind all those, data points, there are real people trusting us with their health information.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as CRAs, we have a responsibility
Right.
to handle that information with the utmost care and respect.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that we're dealing with, sensitive information here, people's medical histories, their personal experiences.
Yeah.
So how do we balance the need for this really detailed data with protecting participant privacy?
Well, that's where data security and confidentiality come into play.
Okay.
Clinical trials have very strict guidelines
Right.
to ensure participant privacy,
Right.
like those outlined in good clinical practice or GCP guidelines.
Okay, so GCP, those are like the rules of the road for clinical research, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Making sure everyone is playing by the same ethical standards.
Exactly.
But what do those guidelines look like in practice?
Well, they cover a wide range of areas,
There.
but when it comes to data, it's all about security and limited access.
Okay.
Think secure data storage systems, password protection, and only authorized personnel being able to actually view that data.
So it's not just about good intentions.
Right.
It's about having those systems in place to enforce those good intentions.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
And CRAs play a crucial role in upholding these standards.
Okay.
You're often the ones interacting directly with the participants,
Right.
collecting their data, entering it into these secure systems.
Right.
So you need to be aware of the privacy regulations, understand the importance of confidentiality, and be really vigilant about protecting the participants' information
Okay.
every step of the way.
It sounds like being a CRA is about so much more than just those technical skills then.
It really is.
It requires a deep understanding of the ethical implications and a genuine commitment to protecting participants' rights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about seeing the human side of research
Wow.
and recognizing that the data we're working with represents, real lives
Yeah.
and real experiences.
This has been really eye-opening.
Good.
We've gone from the nuts and bolts of what baseline data is to why it matters for evaluating treatments.
Right.
And now we're seeing this whole ethical dimension as well. It really paints a more complete picture, I think, of of what's involved in clinical research.
Absolutely.
Especially for, aspiring CRAs.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore within the world of clinical research, from different trial designs to the complexities of data analysis and the constant evolution of regulations.
It sounds like a really challenging but incredibly rewarding field to be a part of.
Oh, it is.
But let's not overwhelm our listeners.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From, defining baseline data to its importance in clinical research. The various types of data collected, the challenges involved.
Right.
Let's take a moment to bring it all together.
Okay.
And highlight the key takeaways, especially for those, dreaming of becoming CRAs.
Great idea. Yeah. So if you're listening and thinking about a career as a CRA, here's what you really need to remember.
Okay.
Baseline data is the foundation upon which clinical research is built.
Okay.
It's the starting point for measuring the effectiveness of treatments.
Right.
And for ensuring the integrity of the entire research process.
Yeah.
As a CRA, you'll be responsible for collecting, managing, and protecting this data.
Right.
With the utmost care.
Right.
And attention to detail.
It's like being a detective, piecing together the clues to understand the full story of a treatment's impact.
Exactly.
But it's also about being a guardian.
Right.
Protecting the privacy and rights of the individuals who are contributing their valuable information.
Yeah.
To this process.
Yeah, and as you continue your journey into the world of clinical research, remember that this field is constantly evolving.
Right.
New technologies, therapies, and regulations are emerging all the time.
Right. So
a commitment to lifelong learning and professional development will be key to staying ahead of the curve.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
The world of clinical research, it isn't static. It's dynamic.
It is.
It's exciting.
Absolutely.
And for those who are eager to learn and grow, it offers such incredible opportunities.
Yes.
To contribute to advancements that can truly make a difference in people's lives.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's a field that requires, both intellectual rigor and a deep sense of empathy.
Yeah.
And it's that combination that makes it both challenging and incredibly rewarding.
This has been such a fantastic deep dive.
It has.
But before we wrap up, we always like to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
to ponder,
Right.
Something to spark further exploration and curiosity.
I like it.
What do you have for us today?
Well, we've talked about how CRAs ensure data accuracy and completeness.
Right.
But think about this. How can you, as a future CRA, contribute to not just collecting data, but to fostering a positive and supportive experience for the participants?
Right.
After all, they are the heart of clinical research.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes that human element that we've been talking about. It's not just about the data.
Right.
It's about the people.
Yeah.
And creating that positive experience for them can make all the difference in the success of a trial.
It really can.
And as you continue exploring the world of clinical research, I encourage you to, seek out resources like the VIARES website.
Yes.
Which offers valuable information and training programs.
It does.
For those interested in this field.
It's a great resource.
Excellent suggestion.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
And in the world of clinical research, that power has the potential to transform lives.
It really does.
So keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep questioning and keep diving deep.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious, folks.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about, the technical side of baseline data, but it strikes me that this information is more than just like numbers on a page.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a snapshot of someone's health at a specific moment in time.
Yeah. And
for a CRA, that snapshot becomes a crucial reference point.
It does.
Throughout the entire trial.
Absolutely. It's like, it's like the foundation of the house.
Right.
Everything else is built on top of it.
Exactly. And as a CRA, you're not just collecting this data. You're also interpreting it.
Looking for patterns, potential red flags.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're like a detective, kind of piecing together the clues.
Yeah.
Making sure the data tells a coherent and accurate story.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You need to be able to spot inconsistencies, understand what the data means, in the context of the trial,
Right.
and be able to communicate your findings effectively to the research team.
This really highlights the importance of those analytical and communication skills
Mm-hmm.
that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
A CRA isn't just a data entry clerk.
Yeah,
It's a role that requires critical thinking
absolutely.
and a deep understanding of the research process.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about understanding the data itself.
Right.
It's about understanding the people behind the data,
Yeah.
remembering that each data point represents a real person with their own, unique health journey.
Exactly.
That brings us back to those ethical considerations
Yeah.
we touched on earlier.
Mhm.
As a CRA, you're handling sensitive information,
You are.
and it's crucial to maintain confidentiality
Absolutely.
and respect participant privacy.
And that respect goes beyond just following the rules. You
Right.
know, it's about treating participants with dignity and empathy,
Yeah.
ensuring that they feel comfortable and informed
Right.
throughout the entire trial.
It's about building that trust and rapport,
Exactly.
understanding that the participants are really the heart of the research.
They are, yeah.
Exactly. And that human connection can make a world of difference
Can.
in the success of the trial.
Absolutely.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
exploring baseline data from every angle.
Yes.
We've talked about what it is, why it's important, how it's collected,
Mm-hmm.
the challenges involved, and the ethical considerations CRAs need to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's been a very thorough deep dive.
Yes.
And I hope our listeners now have a much clearer understanding of this really crucial aspect of clinical research.
And if you're out there thinking about becoming a CRA, remember that baseline data is just one piece of the puzzle. There's a whole world of knowledge and skills waiting to be explored.
Absolutely, but it's a fundamental piece,
Right.
And one that will serve you well
Yeah.
throughout your entire career.
So keep learning, keep asking questions,
Yes.
and never underestimate the power of data to change lives.
And never lose sight of the human element
Yeah.
at the heart of it all.
Beautifully said. That's a wrap for this episode of The Deep Dive.
It is.
We hope you've enjoyed joining us on this journey into the world of baseline data and clinical research.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Until next time, stay curious, folks.